welcome to the Sports Note for Monday, May 1st. Um, Sorry I didn't actually get you guys over the weekend here, although we hope that you enjoyed our draft coverage on Thursday night for the first round. We went all the way up to pick 20, and Mike and I want to thank Alex from row 7 for joining us as the Wise Guys Elite. But Sunday was actually relegated to kind of sitting on the couch getting over um, a 36-hour stomach virus, but it was actually filled with entertainment, playing a lot of games on Nintendo Switch, but mostly we also had two incredible Game Sevens in the to pretty much finish out the first round of the NHL Stanley Cup Playoffs. We've got the final game of round one tonight between the Rangers and the Devils. In again Game 7, the winner of that series goes to Carolina. I want to say that series is going to start on Wednesday. But we had the late game last night, which I actually went to bed a little early for. I went to bed with about maybe 5 minutes left in the second period. But we saw the second-year Seattle Kraken not only get to their first playoff series when the regular season ended a week and a half ago, but now have won their first playoff series at the expense of the defending champion Colorado Avalanche. Thank you, Seattle, for giving us a new champion, because Colorado's reign is now officially over. But on the other side of the bracket, we had the very last team to get into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, which would be the Florida Panthers, knock out the Boston Bruins. And if that sounds historic, it's because it is. And I talked about the success of the Bruins back on February 23rd on this very channel and on the blog, that the Bruins were on pace to break the all-time mark. Well, fast forward 2 months, and they did, and then they went into the playoffs red hot. They jumped out to a 3-1 series lead over the Panthers, and then the Panthers stormed back, winning Game 5 in overtime in Boston, hung 7 on Boston in Game 6 down in Sunrise, and then last night we're up 1-0 after 1, 2-1 after 2. The Boston storms back, gets 2 in the third, is up 3-2, and then Brandon Montour with 59.3 left, and Sergei Bobrovsky pulled in favor of the extra attacker, gets one that certainly Jeremy Swayman would love to have back, and especially with the aspect that this was the first time Swayman's played in this series, let alone started, as Boston. Jim Montgomery, Boston head coach, turned to Swayman after after Vezina Trophy favorite Linus Ullmark gave up 7 in Game 6 to knot the series at 3. Florida had all the momentum at that particular point. You can't really blame something like this, but it would be the equivalent of Philip Grubauer with the Kraken getting benched last night. It would have been like the last time that Boston had a Game 7 in their barn. It would have been essentially like the St. Louis Blues benching Jordan Binnington in favor of Jake Allen for that night. That Allen was the starter earlier in the year. Binnington comes in as a rookie and not only rips the starting job away, but becomes the first rookie goaltender to win all 16 games en route to getting his team their first Stanley Cup championship. And then now, you flash forward 5 years, and Boston's lost 2 consecutive Game 7s on home ice. 2019 against the Blues, and then last night in a 4-3 loss thanks to Carter Verhaeghe being Johnny on the spot. And you can definitely tell, because Matthew Tkachuk was basically the first one to see it go in right in the front of the net, as he was tangled up in front of literally in Swayman's grill, and then got a nice little shot to the mush in the celebration, skating away, but didn't care. This actually now is history for not only the Panthers. They become the second team ever to knock off the President's Trophy since the NHL expanded to the wild card era a few years ago. But now, not only are the Panthers the second ever team to knock off the President's Trophy team, they in the first round, Sergei Bobrovsky was the goaltender for both of those. He's done it with 23 with the Panthers. He also did it in that same 2019 playoffs when the Columbus Blue Jackets swept out the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. So it's absolutely historic, because also the Florida general manager Bill Zito was also a member of the Columbus front office at that time. And now, even though Columbus would not advance past the second round, let's see what the Panthers do now against the Toronto Maple Leafs, which now actually becomes, these playoffs get even more interesting, as look at the title droughts, and this is also going to get brought up on the Wise Guys this coming Wednesday, a special night and time. You look at the 9 teams remaining going into tonight's Game 7 between the Devils and the Rangers. Vegas, Florida, and Seattle have never won the Cup. Vegas has only been to one final. Florida's been only to one final. Seattle's only won one playoff series, of course. Carolina's last championship was in 2006, and there's a little bit of history involved, and I'm going to come back to that here in a second. The Rangers technically still in it, and the Devils with that. The Rangers' last championship was in '94. The last time they were in the finals was 2014 against the LA Kings. The Devils last won the Cup in 2003. They were last in the finals in 2012, again against the Kings. Dallas won the Cup in '99. They were in the finals in the bubble, the COVID bubble, in 2020 versus Tampa. Edmonton's last Cup was 1990. They were in the finals against Carolina, when Carolina won that Cup in 2006. And Toronto, with the longest championship drought in NHL history, last having won the Cup in 1967. Remember, the last NHL champion to come from Canada were the Montreal Canadiens in 1993. So this is now the 30-year anniversary since the Canadian team has won, and now they've got 2 teams in the second round. Now, this with Boston going out, and also you have to figure with Colorado going out after the Seattle loss, this kind of puts the Vegas Golden Knights in the driver's seat, but we've definitely seen stranger things happen. Carolina dispatched the Islanders in 5. Vegas took care of the Jets in 5. Those were the 2 teams in the playoffs that I had a vested interest in, between the Jets and the Islanders, as the Blues and Sabres didn't make it. Of course, I'm a little bit of a Kings fan. They got knocked out by Edmonton. But you look at Vegas and Carolina, the only 2 division winners still left, and again have to be the odds-on favorites to meet come June. But let's actually see what happens. This also now turns a page for Boston, because Patrice Bergeron, their captain, is 37 years old, and if there was any indication as of the end of the game last night, and after the handshake line, and after Florida had already left the ice, and the remaining Boston faithful that piled out of that mausoleum known as TD Bank North Garden, Bergeron, being 37, could he have played his final game in the NHL last night? You also have to think David Krejci at 37, long in the tooth Nick Foligno at 35. The one that everyone's actually starting to think about is Brad Marchand at 34. He's going to be naturally 35 next season. He doesn't have very many years left. But again, with Montour's goal, with under a minute to go, and then Verhaeghe, the winner, not even 9 minutes into overtime, just shows really how back and forth this series was. Boston out 3-1. The Panthers get it to 3-3. They go up 1-0. They go up 2-1. They fall behind 3-2. They tie it in the final minute. And hold the line one moment. And I'm back after that brief pause at work. Somebody had the wrong suite. Neither here nor there. But anyway, you also you figure the history with this next series coming up for the Panthers, both them and the Maple Leafs certainly looking to exercise some demons. The Panthers have made the second round back-to-back years, but keep in mind the Panthers knocked off the Bruins having won the President's Trophy this season, but remember the Panthers won the President's Trophy last year, got out of the first round, and then Tampa swept them out in the second round. This is the first time that Toronto's made the second round since 2004, which was the year before the lockouts. That was, if anyone who follows the Maple Leafs, especially follows, I personally feel, legendary YouTuber Steve Dangle from Sportsnet.ca, knows really just how long the Leafs have waited to kind of win a playoff series. It was like when the Islanders knocked out the Panthers a few years prior here with right before John Tavares, became turncoat number one, and then left the Islanders to go to the Maple Leafs, who still couldn't get out of the first round. The Islanders ended up making back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals, again against the Tampa Bay Lightning, which in turn ended up being the Lightning winning back-to-back cups in 20 and 21. But these playoffs just got so much more interesting. I know, again, I don't have a personal vested interest in any of these teams. I would like to see Edmonton make a push. You always want to see a team win their first one ever. Although there's part of me as a diehard Buffalo fan that really does not want to see Jack Eichel host the Stanley Cup with Vegas. But you have to kind of root for the first timer there. So let me know what you guys think. What are you expecting out of Game 7 possibly tonight? What are you expecting on the second round? Who is your favorite going forward? Again, Mike and I will be with you guys live for the Wise Guys Wednesday night at 9, our special time. It's a little bit of a departure from our new Thursday format, and we'll recap the draft. We'll touch a little bit of hockey playoffs. We're going to touch a little bit of the NBA playoffs. We're going to talk about two big returns coming off of pretty decent injuries in Major League Baseball, more specifically coming out of the same division. One's going to be very high on Mike's priority list to want to talk about. The other one, certainly not so much, because it's another team, again, in that same division for a guy that has been well documented Mike is not a fan of. But we will see you guys on Wednesday. Take care, and I will be back with you here a little later on this week.